repetition or just reinforcing a lot of what you already know. Hopefully there is a few things that you can take out of this presentation, and I do want this to be more of a collaborative training. If there's anything I miss, please feel free to raise your hand, share anything that you think is going to be helpful. It's going to run across the basics, and as we get deeper into the presentation, we will then do a live demo, which will cover basic navigation on the shelving side, as well as now the newer released elevation for wall shelving, okay? Get this to click. All right. So to start off, plain and simple, the Cam Shelving Configurator is a simple shelving layout tool that anyone can use. It's very user-friendly. This is meant to be a tool for entry level. It allows you to access it pretty quickly, as opposed to CDS where there's a whole application. It's a little bit more complex. It allows you to create simple builds. It's a great tool to create more of like a visual presentation if you're doing a training like I'm going to be doing, or if you're going to be showing a customer their space. It creates a conversation for you when you're out on the field. So one way that I like to frame it is, it's as simple as opening the Cambro website. You're going to access it through our resources, build a simple layout, and you're going to help someone see the potential of their storage space. So for the configurator, the design covers, again, both floor shelving and wall shelving. The floor shelving has quick and custom options, while the wall shelving only has custom style design. It's best, again, for simple concepts, early visualization, to build customer conversations, as well as creating a before step if you were to submit this into CDS to convert it into a more complex design. You can also use it to create reverse visual, create a screenshot, take a picture of it, print it, make notes, and then submit that as kind of like your handwritten drawing instead of, the old traditional way. So again, there's two ways to build. You have the quick design option and you have custom design. The quick design is meant for something quick, a layout that is simple. For instance, if you have a straight, an L shape, or a U shape. If you want to do something a little bit more complex out of those basic layouts, then you're going to want to use custom design. Quick design does allow you to basically just punch in the numbers, the dimensions of a room. And then once you do that, it'll create a layout in the most optimized way possible. What that means is you won't be able to select the size or the lengths of the units that you're going to be using for that room. Now, if you did want to select the different lengths, maybe optimize it yourself, that instead of 236s, you want to go with the 72, maybe a 60, then custom design would be the more appropriate tool that you want to use. So again, quick design. The one that we have is straight. It's a one-run shelving for simple wall or aisle conditions. The L-shaped, 2 runs around an open corner, fast to explain visually, and then the U-shaped, 3-sided storage for standard walk-in cooler storage rooms. Again, just to reiterate, the dimensions entered are meant to be your room dimensions, The configurator uses the information to build the most optimized layout that it can. Going back to the custom design, custom is best. Again, you don't want to use this when you want to use this when the recommended lengths aren't what you want to use. If the customer needs something a little bit more complex, if you want to teach how modular units can be added, moved, removed, and refined, since it goes one by one, it doesn't lay out the entire thing for you at a time. Going on to the wall shelving. So the wall shelving only has one option, and that's customizer design. This is more of a custom style design. The best way I can explain it's basically a 1, 2, 3 kind of step process. So the first thing you're going to do when you open this platform is it's going to ask you for the dimensions of the wall. And then it has a toggle button at the bottom where it takes you into the next step. So first it's going to be wall dimensions, then it's going to be the dimensions of the first section that you're working on. So that's going to be the length and the height. And then from there, you're going to select what configuration you want in that section. Do you want all shelves? Do you want a combination of maybe a shelf and a pegboard? Do you want all pegboards? All that gets selected there. And then once that's confirmed, you go into the accessories. The accessories on here, as well as the one for floor shelving, are limited. For elevation specifically, it'll allow you to place accessories for the pegboard on the shelves. The only accessory you can add at this time are rails. And then for the floor shelving, there are no accessories offered at this time. So it's just going to be a standard unit layout, no divider panels, no ID clips, no angled divider bars if you wanted to create kind of like a drying rack station. So those are pretty much your limitations for that. So when you go into the design, whichever one you select, you're going to have a tool rail to the left of the application. The first one, just going from top to bottom, you're going to have a redo arrow. Then it goes into the undo arrow. You have the option to show it with AR, which I think is an excellent tool that we don't use enough. We'll go through that when we do the live demo, but it basically, when you click on it, it pops up a window with the QR code. If you're showing someone the AR through maybe your laptop or even a tablet, you take your phone, scan it, and just show them how to use it. I think that's a really good visual for them to use. The next item is a parts list printout that you can download. Then the fifth one gives you the ability to edit multiple units at a time, because right now I think off the bat, when you go onto the application, it either lets you choose between updating the full layout or selecting it one by one. So this particular option allows you to select more than one. It lets you custom select essentially. And then 6 through 9 are all image view tools. So starting from the left, it basically resets the view on your design. If maybe you've been playing around with it, zooming in and out, and you want to revert it back to how it was when you first opened up the page, you go there. The next one is going to allow you to enter the design in full screen. Then the next one allows you to set a specific viewpoint. And the last one's going to allow you to capture an image of your design, which is where you can take that picture, screenshot it, print it, and once it's printed, you can add your notes to it to submit it into CDS if needed. So, question the limitations without losing the value. Yes, our configurator doesn't do all that CDS can do, but aside from that, I don't think we should necessarily see that as a con. I think with the 3D function and just how advanced the tool is, we should definitely take advantage of what it can do versus what it can't. Again, this isn't meant to replace CDS. It's meant to allow people to kind of get their foot in, play around with it, and give them that sense of ownership if an end user or a customer, because anyone can use it, decides to go in and design something themselves. So what the configurator does not do: wall shelving cannot build disconnected sections or layered sections. So maybe you have a track at the very top of the wall and you want to add something to the bottom. You cannot do that. Usually what we tell users is to do 2 different designs. Build a design for that first row, then do another design for that second row. It doesn't do detailed rooms. Again, it doesn't do the full accessories. So you can't add dunnage racks. You can't include or incorporate trolleys. You can't combine elevation and cam shelving. You have to keep that all on separate projects. It only lets you do 1 room at a time per se. And then using the tool to capture intent, not to force unsupported details into the layout. So again, I think this is more going to be useful as a demo tool. That's going to be your biggest key takeaway from here. Where it is stronger, so it's easier to access, like I mentioned earlier. There's no CAD setup required. It's a fast visualization, so you can show customers the potential in their space in, I wouldn't even say minutes, I'd say seconds. The AR function is also something underutilized. I think we could be using more. Product value, you can go in depth with the benefits of what our shelving line is capable of. So everyone knows that with cam shelving, we offer that open corner, the shared post, the modular changes. You can show them all of that using this tool. And then again, the CDS handoff. So doing a printout, starting your tool on here, and even when you save the design, you can share that link with our CDS and have that conversation versus submitting a piece of paper where they might come back and say, I still need clarification on XYZ because sometimes writing is a little bit hard to understand. So to go into depth with the visual, I have an image here that kind of shows how you can remove the different shelves. I think that's super important. Specifically, I hear it a lot for hospitality where a lot of users want to go with mobile units for the ease of being able to move it out of a cooler or freezer and then put it back in for cleaning purposes. You can easily demo and show them, just like this image is showing, how you can remove that bottom shelf to make it easier for cleaning. You don't even have to remove the entire unit. You can shift shelves up, down, remove them, zoom in, show the details between premium, elements, extra, basics, because it captures it fairly well. And you can even show them on the fly how to switch from vented to solid, since that's a popular item too. Going back to the CDS handoff. So as an example, you have on the left a hand drawing, and then on the right, you have a screen printout. If a designer is going to receive any kind of layout, I think, in my personal opinion, I would much rather receive the one on the right. It's cleaner, easier to follow, easier to read, easier to convert it into CDS if we do want to take that and extend it to add maybe, again, a trolley, incorporate it, maybe add some wall shelving to the right of it. So just to recap, Configurator for quick visuals, CDS for expanded design. Configurator is an entry-level visual builder, customer demo straight from Cambro.com. It does simple floor layouts with wall quick sections. You can visualize space, the open corners, the shared posts, modular changes, and you can also take a screenshot, print it out for notes and handoff into CDS. For CDS, design depth and project expansion, if you want to create an actual room in more depth, because when you use the configurator, it's not a room, it's more of just a space that you're filling. You can add the missing accessories that you need, such as dunnage racks, trolleys, panels. You can mix both of the lines, elevation, cam shelving, into one simple design, and you can turn your marked up concept into a fuller project. Any questions so far? Beautiful. So while I open my web browser really quick, and we can go through a walkthrough of the design tool. All right, can everyone see my screen?
She can hear you now.
Can you hear me, Jocelyn? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna ask the question, just wondering when high density is going to be a choice.
High density is currently in the testing phase. There is conversation of releasing it as is to be able to get feedback, but I am trying to push to have it incorporated with the current floor shelving so we can kind of build off of that. But it is in the works. I'm going to estimate in a couple of months or so. The design is pretty much set to go. It's just in a testing phase at this moment.
I definitely have some peeps even in this room here that use the configurator currently and will probably be pretty good testers.
What's that?
There are people even here in this room where if you want somebody that's currently using the configurator and using it quite a bit to be a tester, if you want some outside field testing,
Absolutely.
that would be really good.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Any other questions?
Hey, Jocelyn, have
Yeah.
they updated the premium corner connectors to the new style?
Yes.
Have we done it in the
The
Pro?
premium corner connectors, the heavy duty version, the new ones that just launched, you should, when you go to design and it uses an L shape or U shape where the corner connectors are needed, on your parts list, you should see it call out the new one, which is same code, but we added the HD to the end of it. So CPCC HD.
Okay, thank you.
And just like with CDS, the configurator, when you guys are using those parts lists to kind of review the design, make sure you're double checking that, only because there was a few things that I have caught already. I am one person. Compared to how many people are actually using it, there may be things I might miss, but I did catch that it was calling out the incorrect number of corner connectors. So an example like that, I was able to go with the developer and let him know, hey, this needs to be updated, and he was able to fix it. But things like small things like that, it's important for us to be able to cross-reference and double check that work. And even if you guys want like additional support, feel free to send me that design. I'd be more than happy to help and look at it as well. Any other questions so far?
Yeah, sorry. Those new heavy duty corner, aren't they, they're repackaged, right? So that they're 1, 4, and 5?
Correct.
Okay, so
The
that's
setup
important.
of the new corner connectors mimic that of Elements Extra. So we got rid of the 8 set and the 10 set, and we converted that into 4 and 5.
Yeah, which is much better, because that means that most of your singles go away and go bye-bye. So, because I was the brilliant one that came up with 8 and 10. Not so brilliant.
Alrighty. So this is the new landing page to our cam shelving design pro. You have the option to select cam shelving, which is the floor shelving, and then the elevation, which is our wall shelving. We're going to start with cam shelving first. I think this will be a quick demo just because it's been out longer. You guys, I'm assuming, are very familiar with it. My goal is to spend more time with elevations since that's fairly newer. So just like I laid out in the presentation, you click on it, you have the option to go quick design, custom design. For the sake of demoing, I'm going to go with quick design, U-shape, because the U-shape is a little bit more complex. You can show a little bit more. And before I get started with all my options to the right, I just kind of want to go through to create a visual with the toggle buttons that we have to the left. So the AR, like I said, you get a pop-up screen. If you're showing this to a customer, end user, whoever you're demoing for, you can do this off your laptop, off your tablet, take your phone, scan it, and then show them the actual unit in their space. This tool, I feel, is forgotten, and I think the more that we use it too, you guys are able to provide more feedback, and we can always make improvements to it. So the next item is going to be the show part list, which is going to come up here on the right. We are working on the model numbers being fully visible as they are cut off right now. You could hover over it and it'll show you the full product, but when you do print and it gives you the full form, it'll have the actual product numbers on there. So if you can't see them here, you can hover or you can print it and it'll give you the full list. You can see it visibly. So for the multi-select, as I mentioned, if you look at the top toggle area, so you have full layout options, what allows you to edit the entire layout, or you can do it individually. But if you want to do maybe more than just one, you select this, you click on the two that you want to edit, and then it changes both of them at the same time. So this is essentially when you don't want to do the entire system, but you want to do more than one. Then you would want to select this. To get out of it, you just click it and it won't be red anymore. So select view, it goes back to the standard view from when you enter the design. This is to enter full screen. And then reset camera, it pulls it out if you zoom in too far. This will let you take a picture and it'll download an image for you that you can save. So usually if you're going to do a design where you want to take a picture and you want to make notes to it, maybe say, I don't want a 48, convert this to this, add the accessories to this, then what you can do is take that screenshot, print it, mark it up, and then submit that to CDS. And they can add all those accessories for you. So now going into the design, going back to full layout options. So off of the menu here, just because you selected U-shape doesn't mean you have to stick with that configuration. It does give you the option to convert it back to a straight if maybe you decide to change your mind. You can convert it to an L shape, selecting the left and right dimensions. As long as you know what the size of the room is and you plug that in here, it does all the heavy lifting for you. If this layout works with the end user or the customer, then it's as simple as just submitting it and having an order placed for it. But if you're not, if maybe you don't want all these 36s, you don't want all the 48s, you want to add some 60s, some 72s, then that's when you would go into custom design. If I maybe wanted to branch out a few units to the back towards here, again, you would do custom design. For here, you just want to think in straight, L shape, and U shape. And then right below that, you can switch easily from premium to elements extra. And what's really nice about that, specifically when you're demoing, is being able to zoom in and show all the details. So if I go here, you can easily show them what the benefits are between each line. Premium, not having extra pieces that need to go. They have molded in dovetails. It's just traverse. There's nothing else that you have to add onto the post to assemble. And it's so easy to visualize it if you're just switching back and forth from one another. And then being able to change from all vented to all solid if you just want a solid bottom. Being able to select the depth on the right unit, 18 to 21 to 24. Change the post height if you want the back to just be 64s. And then for this one, you can also select the number of shelves. Mind you, on any units, we usually recommend that you keep at least 4 shelves, just so that it stays stable. If you don't have the 4 shelves completely, then you do risk it kind of tilting over depending on where you have the shelves placed. What I prefer to do is if you have 4 shelves here, maybe you wanted to edit one. So from here, because I selected one, you can edit it individually. You can go here, change that, and then you can, if this allows me, you can take off the bottom one or the middle one, but it'll keep the back post on there. There it is. Okay, so number 4 is going to be at the top. And you can see that back traverse there. Yes.
In like versions of this cool tool to come, will we be able to incorporate that top rail sliding to where we can show the customer really what it would look like to add that top rail and additional cabinetry or shelving rather?
For when we do the high density, is that what you're referring to?
You know, the new top rail sliding
Mhm.
system that you have?
Yeah.
Will that be available in this tool so we can show the functionality of that to
Yes.
customers eventually?
Yes. So that is something that we're working on, getting out to you guys pretty soon. It's been in the testing phase for some time. That'll probably be its own like standalone design tool. So it won't be incorporated with this, but it'll still be available to kind of show it, at least until we decide if we want to move forward with merging the two together. So yes, you'll be able to show the top rail and the floor track.
Thank you.
Yeah. So any other questions on the floor shelving that I may have not covered that you guys have had questions on? So from here, we'll go back to our elevation. So as mentioned, it only has one option, just because elevation, it's very custom. It's not a standard U-shape, L-shape type of design. It really varies on the space, the kitchen. So I don't think there has been a single design that has been the same throughout what I've seen, which is why we decided to lay it out the way we did as far as how to build off of this. So clicking on it, it's going to take you to a standard 96-inch tall wall with 72-inch of length. And then it's going to start you off with a standard station kit. In this particular case, it's a task station. You're going to want to select your wall length after taking measurements of the kitchen, depending how long their wall is, you're going to adjust it to that. Then you have an offset option. And what this does is it pushes your first kit, your first section away from the wall. This top offset and the bottom go hand in hand. One controls the left, one controls the right. So if I move this all the way over, you can see that the bottom one moves all the way to the left. And the reason for that is just to kind of show you guys how much space you have off of each side. So now that I did that, you can see on the right end, you're about 2 feet 3 inches away from the edge. Now you're 10 feet 9 inches away from the other edge. You can also select how high you want it off the floor. Maybe if you're working with a space where there's a sink here and you want to account for it, you can do that. But because it only builds in one linear section, my recommendation is just to measure the wall that you actually have space to install on. So don't measure from top all the way to the floor. Measure it from the first open available space you have to, if you have a sink in that area, to that bottom of the sink. That's the best way to use this tool. So now going back, this will start you off from left to right. So it'll build going to the right, will not build to the left. So it's better off to just leave it like this. This is the most simple thing that you can do. Once you confirm your wall dimensions, then it should be as simple as clicking this button on the bottom where it says continue to section 1, and that will go into the dimensions of the section. So here you can select how wide you want the shelf, how tall you want it. Obviously there's limitations. The longest shelf we allow is 48 inches. The longest upright we have is 45 inches. So I can easily change that to 45. If I wanted to change this to 48, now if I do that, because we only have hanging pegboards in 24 inches and 36 inches, it's going to instantly convert it into a wall mounted. And that can be changed once you go into the selection of what components you want to use. So once I confirm that I want 48 inches, 45 upright, on the components here, there's a drop down that allows you to off the bat select what kind of layout you want. Do you want shelves only? Do you want shelves in a pegboard the way it is now? Because it is 45-inch upright, you can do 2 shelves in a pegboard. Mind you, the way that it shows it, it's going to show 1 shelf on top, 1 shelf on the bottom. I think that we're not allowing you to move and relocate these pieces because we don't want to complicate the design. I think this is something that you just need to know on your design when you are going to install, that you want the pegboard at the bottom and you want the 2 shelves on top. But just to demo it, you have the shelf and pegboard. You can do shelves only, which 45-inch upright allows for a maximum of 4 shelves. If you were to do the 30, it would be 3 shelves. If you did a 15, then it would just be 1 single shelf. You can adjust the shelf depth and what kind of shelf you want, if you wanted a vented, if you want a solid, all here. So the first one I changed to a 14. Again, if I wanted to, I can change it to a solid. If maybe I don't want one of the shelves, I can put no shelf and it'll just do the 3 for you. We do have an option for a drying rack, and that will only be noted for the first shelf because usually you cannot place it in the middle or on the bottom. If that is a custom design that you do want to do, what I recommend is to just leave it at the top. And again, leave a note for the installer that that will be placed in the middle. So then the other one, you have the shelf, the pegboard, the shelf on the bottom. And then if you just want a pegboard only, it basically takes away everything since there's nothing that you need to install a wall-mounted pegboard. And then you would have to make a note on here that the track needs to be removed because it isn't required again. You can switch that from horizontal to vertical, and you can place 2 in place instead of the 1.
If you do the pegboard shelf, pegboard shelf, are you able to have the bottom shelf be angled?
I don't believe we have that on here yet. We don't have the option to do like the to-go station, that
Okay.
unit that's offered on the back of the brochure. But we
Okay.
do plan on at some point adding it, only because we are working on adding that as a general item that you can order. So you won't have to order each piece individually. It'll be set up as a SKU to be easier to order. So when that does happen, we will be incorporating it in here. So that's soon to come. And it'll only be available in the 24-inch depth.
Thank you.
All right, so if I'm gonna go with that, then you can go back if maybe you want to switch the dimensions of your first section. If you're okay with this build, then you go on to the next button, which it goes into the accessories. Like I mentioned, the only accessories we have for the shelves are the rails. You can opt to put a front rail, the left, and the right. And you can do that individually for each shelf. If I wanted to maybe go back, I have the ribbon here where instead of clicking back 5 times, I can easily just jump back here. Maybe I wanted to make a quick change to the wall dimensions. I changed my mind. Maybe I want to do a 36. I'll keep it at 45 because I do want to switch back to a pegboard. And then from here, now that I have a pegboard, I have the option to add my accessories. And you're basically able, there you go, to see that there. And wherever it's red is where you have space available to add any of the accessories that you're going to be adding onto here. Got that. So this is the design. The first section's complete. I gotta add for the rest of the wall. Once this is done, you see that there's no more. It only allows me to go back. So to add on to this section, what I'm gonna do is click that button right below the design that says Add Section. I have the option to add one of the pre-kits already. You have prep, sync, and task. If I want to continue building something custom, I'm just going to do the wall shelving here. To accept this one, you're going to click on it and it'll add it on there. So the only thing for this one, if I had kept this into a unit with 4 shelves and I added a second one and I wanted to do it and convert it into an add-on so it shares, you can't do that because the brackets basically take up the entire space unless it was a shelving section with all shelves, all shelves, all shelves. So when you're mixing the pegboards, if I wanted to, for instance, if I wanted to shift the pegboard up and bring the shelf down, it would not allow me because the bracket takes up the entire space of the upright. There would be no space for the pegboard to actually hang off of. But in this case, it does allow me. If I go to the right for my options, you can see it's set at starter. It'll do that automatically. If you want it to share the upright, you select add-on and you can see that it shares that upright. So you can see it splits into 2 and now you have the one upright. Any questions so far? Is there anything else maybe that you guys would like to see? Issues that you guys have run into? You're muted, Kendall.
Oh, I was just mumbling and saying I haven't really ran into any issues.
Oh, perfect.
Talking to myself, really.
No, that's fine.
Jocelyn, I have a question. If you angle that and do the same thing you did with floor shelving, like if you look at top down, what are you able to see?
That's what you see.
So from a parts standpoint, this one you'd really need to keep it flat and then call out what the, like if you click on the parts list.
The best way to use this as a CDS handoff would be to like slightly angle it. And then with the parts list that you have, submitting both of those into CDS, but just so they can see at least that this is vented. But that's actually a good point. I think what we need to add next is very similar to our floor shelving. When you get that bird's eye view, you can see the call out of the dimensions of the units. We want to add that to the vented ones as well. So that's something that we're going to request to have done. So it's
Because the flat view really can be utilized not only as, if you're sending it to CDS nutrients range and further,
yes,
but think of it also, it can also be an installation graphic. Because it
Yeah.
calls out clearly, starter and add-on, which right now in CDS, we just do an S and an A. So they
Yeah.
doesn't know this, but
Yeah.
I see it being utilized as an install guide too.
any other questions? So if there's no questions from here, I'm gonna dive back into the presentation. We're gonna go on what happens when you're done with your design. So saving it, requesting a quote and design files and how that essentially looks.
I have a kind of a side question, Jocelyn, while you're doing
Yeah,
that.
Of course.
When is on the Z-Rack, when will the digital brochure or kind of pamphlet be available? Or is that available?
The 4-pager for the Z-Rack,
Yeah,
that we have them printed at NRA. They'll
yeah,
be available on.
changes or not.
It'll be available during once it launches, which the target date is the 22nd. But because it's finalized, I'd be more than happy to share with you that brochure if you would want to use it as like just
Sure.
something to show.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah, of
you.
course. All right, so you guys can see my screen. All right. So this slide specifically is just meant for you guys to kind of reference, have all the information on one page. I will go into it more visually in a second, but just this PowerPoint will be shared with everyone to have it. If there's anything that you guys would like me to add that maybe would be beneficial, that'll help, that I might have missed, please let me know and I'll update this and get it reshared right away. But I try to add as much information just for you guys to have, not so much for me to talk through. I wanted you guys to get more of the demo side of things, especially with elevation, since it is much newer. All right, so once your design is complete, or maybe it isn't complete, maybe you're halfway through it and you get called, you need to go somewhere, you need to save it for a later moment, you can click on Save Design. This pop-up screen will show up. It'll have the link for you to share it. You can take that, screenshot it, email it. You can copy the URL. It's great for collaborating if you want maybe the customer to see it. One important thing to note is if you share this and even if you make any updates on it, those updates will not translate onto the link. You will have to save the design again and generate a new link. So just be mindful of that. If you don't want to save the design, you feel the design is complete, or maybe you want someone to reach out to you to provide better assistance on maybe some tips on configurating, or you just want someone to follow up, you want this to be submitted into CDS, you're going to select on the request quote design file. This pop-up will come up where you enter all your information. You want to enter your name, the company, your email, phone number if you want someone to reach out to you, marketing segment, country, city, state. What that does is it helps us kind of direct to where this lead needs to be sent to. Now, if you are using this as a demo, I just want to make sure that you guys are on the project name or in the message that you're highlighting that this project is a demo. That way it doesn't create kind of like a false lead. If you have any questions where, for example, or earlier this week, there was email sent out, there was an issue with downloading the design files. They were getting an error. Something like that, on the design page itself, on the top right corner, there's a support button. That's where you want to submit that kind of request, not through the quote design file download. So once you fill out that form, you enter it, this pop-up will come up. You can copy the URL. It's going to be the same thing as the Save Design. And then you'll also get a confirmation email that looks like this. So it'll kind of show your design a little bit. It'll give you the option to download your design files, to view your design. And then on the bottom here, it's cut off, but it'll give you basically your parts list. And on the very bottom of that, all the information that you submitted on that form submittal. The subject of the email, it's going to be cam shelving design for whatever you named your project. And then you'll be receiving this confirmation email from @cambroshelving.com. So again, in that email, you're going to be able to view your design. It'll take you right back to this. Lexi.
I just wanted to make a side note on that previous
Yeah.
slide, the email that you guys received, because I know sometimes our outside guys will kind of mock something up in the configurator and then they will forward us this email. We have found that if it's forwarded, we can't click the buttons that say download or view your design.
Okay.
Like they're not clickable once the email gets forwarded.
Uh-huh.
But if they attach the email into an email and send it to us, then we can click them. Just a side
Okay.
note for if
Okay.
the outside team wants to send it to the inside team for quotation that way.
I'm going to make a note of that just because I feel that forwarding it should allow you to be able to click on it. Having to attach the email seems a little tedious, but I'll look into that.
Okay.
So the view your design option on that confirmation email just takes you back to the design. The download CAD Revit PDF option, when you click on that, it'll take you to the browser. The browser will pop up this little note where it's showing you that it's downloading your design. And then once it's done downloading, this window will appear and it'll basically show you the equipment layout of what you designed. So we'll open standard design file in your browser and then it'll send you the email to actually download the zip files. So once that's done downloading, it'll open up the browser, you see your design, and then it'll also send you another confirmation email where you can actually download the files. It has this option to view drawings, which will basically just show you this again. If you select download drawings, then from there, that's when you get the zip file and it'll look something like this. So you get the zip file, you save it, and you get all these items with it, which going one by one, the first item that you're going to get, similar to what you see in the web browser, it's going to be that equipment layout in PDF format. The next item is going to be your CAD files. These are going to be WG files, PCP files. The next item is going to be an isometric drawing in JPEG format. You're going to get a parts list quotation in an Excel file. You'll get your Revit file as the last item. And then finally, last but not least, you get an import guide on how to take your design and import it into AutoQuotes. It gives you an instruction.
Just real quick, Jocelyn.
Yes.
So that Excel file is what they call a CSV file. That's what will actually get pulled into AutoQuotes to create the quote. So that CSV file is key because that's what you can take directly into AutoQuotes.
Okay.
And that direction there, just, somebody who's not familiar with it, but CSV files in the design world, quoting world, they know what that is.
Okay. Thank you, Gary.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And so once you have that, you're basically done. Any final questions?
I have a question. Are there any
Yeah.
plans to allow for importing of the configurator into CDS so we can do those further deeper designs?
That is a great question that has not been asked, but it's something I can definitely follow up with. I do know, I don't know if this was already mentioned before, on CDS, if CDS is something that you rather work with, does allow you to download design files straight off of there. So you can if you're comfortable with CDS, you can completely skip the configurator, go into CDS, and then still have that option to download the Revit files. But as far as taking the files here and importing them into CDS, I don't think that's something that's doable at this time, but it's something I can bring up.
I can see that as a huge tool for a dealer, an end user, an outside salesperson to design that, send it to one of the inside staff, and then say, hey, we want to make these modifications. We want to add on X amount of Z racks. We want to add them into these different rooms. Then we have the ability to make those modifications
Yeah.
in-house without having to involve the cam shelving team if it's like a small enough thing for us to bust through super quick.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense, and that's a great question. Thank you for asking. Any other questions? If there's no questions, then I thank you guys very much for attending. And if you do have questions after, I'm always open. Welcome to hear anyone out.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jocelyn.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.